The day began without warning, a morning like countless others. People rushed through crowded streets, children played in parks, planes soared across the sky, and factories roared with industry. No one could have predicted that in the span of a single minute, the entire world would be forced to the edge of existence. At exactly noon, something impossible happened. Every molecule of oxygen simply vanished, not thinned out, not diminished, gone. The effect was immediate and brutal. People collapsed mid-step, clutching their throats in confusion and terror. Birds dropped from the sky like stones. Engines of cars, planes, and ships stalled in unison, leaving vehicles stranded and vessels drifting silently. Fires, starved of breath, extinguished themselves in a puff of smoke. The entire world froze in eerie stillness. For 60 seconds, humanity experienced what it meant to be truly powerless. Some fainted instantly, their bodies unable to comprehend the absence of the element that sustained every breath of their lives. Others, with desperate instinct, flailed and gasped at air that no longer existed. Infants cried until no sound came. Lovers, parents, strangers, all were united in silent suffocation. But just as suddenly as it had vanished, the oxygen returned. At 1 minute past noon, the world exhaled a collective scream. People coughed violently, inhaling greedily, clutching at their chests as their bodies convulsed. Planes crashed into oceans and cities, fires reignited where sparks remained, and medical emergencies exploded in every corner of the globe. The damage was catastrophic, but it could have been worse because it had lasted only a single minute. Governments immediately demanded explanations. Scientists scrambled to analyze air samples, while conspiracy theorists filled the void with frantic claims. Some said it was a test of a secret weapon, others blamed alien intervention, and some whispered that it was divine punishment. But amidst the chaos, one man, Dr. Alaric Monroe, an atmospheric physicist, noticed something peculiar. Data from hundreds of global sensors showed no natural explanation. Oxygen had not drifted away, nor had it burned up in a chemical reaction. It had simply ceased to exist, as if erased from reality itself. Monroe uncovered another troubling pattern. The event had been synchronized perfectly down to the nanosecond across the globe. This was no random accident, it was deliberate. And when he dug deeper into atmospheric models, he found something chilling. The Earth's oxygen cycle had not returned to normal. Oxygen levels were regenerating unnaturally fast, replenished as if being artificially restored. It was as though someone, or something, had turned it off and then back on again. In the weeks that followed, society began to fracture. Many lived in constant paranoia, carrying oxygen tanks wherever they went. Religious groups grew in numbers, claiming the world had been warned. Economies collapsed from the destruction of infrastructure, and wars broke out as nations blamed one another. But Monroe couldn't shake the numbers he had seen. The oxygen restoration hadn't been random, it followed a precise algorithm, repeating like a coded signal. Someone had pressed a switch. One night, as Monroe reviewed the data in his lab, a file appeared on his computer that he had not opened. It contained a single message: Test 1, complete. His blood froze. He traced the source of the file, but it had no origin, no server, nothing he could identify. It was as if it had written itself into existence. The implications struck him like a blow. The event had not been a catastrophe, it had been an experiment. Someone, somewhere, was testing humanity's reaction to survival without oxygen. And worse, the label Test 1 implied that this was only the beginning. The revelation drove Monroe into panic. He tried to warn governments, publishing his findings and sending messages to every world leader. But before long, his warnings vanished from the internet. News stations refused to broadcast his theories, and his colleagues began to avoid him. It was as though the information itself was being erased, just like the oxygen had been. The final twist came a month later. Monroe was awakened in the dead of night by a strange hum in the air, a vibration that rattled his bones. He looked out the window and saw the stars flickering unnaturally, as though the sky itself was breathing. Then, he noticed it, the sharp sting in his lungs, the thinning air once again slipping away. But this time, he realized something horrifying. The countdown wasn't random, it was scheduled, and as the oxygen drained again, Monroe understood that the first minute had only been a warning, a demonstration of power. Now, the real test was beginning. And this time, the air might never come back.